Is that Arrow?
That's me.
Hello, Arrow. It's Guy Raz here.
Man, dude, you and this journey you're on, you bring excitement to more than just young adult readers. And as an adult, Wow in Space is it.
Thank you.
Where do you come up with the ideas? Because, I mean, each time, that even on your podcast, you draw us in and you really give us that information. Are you into content like we are?
Yeah, I mean, we have a podcast, Wow in the World, that is for kids and families. And we've done almost 200 episodes so far. And one of the things that we learned about our listeners is that they are really, really into space. On our show, which is sort of a cartoon for the ear, Guy and I have gone to outer space, allowing kids to imagine what it's like to be up there. We've also written books on the human body, the How and Wow of the human body. Our Wow in the Wild book is all about animals. And we decided the next logical thing to do would be to take our readers to outer space. And that is where Wow in Space comes in.
Well, you know that as we continue to grow closer and closer, because they're saying that we're going back up on the moon next year, young adults and children are going to see your books and call you a pioneer because you were the first ones to kind of plant that seed in them. And now they're interested in space because of this book.
Do you know, Arrow, it's amazing. We did a lot of live shows. We've done a lot of live shows for our podcast, Wow in the World. And we get kids who come up to us or parents who come up to us all the time and say, and now there are kids who have grown up, who are in college, who started listening to Wow in the World, 7 years ago, who say to us, you really inspired my interest in science. I mean, space is a great example of this because it is so inspiring. It's limitless, right? I mean, there is so much we have yet to discover about space. We've learned a lot, but it's infinite. I mean, every day we learn more and more about space with images and data coming from the James Webb Telescope and other scientific discoveries and measurements. I mean, we didn't, even 25, 30 years ago, we didn't really know for sure if there were a lot of exoplanets out there in our galaxy. We now know there are 400 or 500 billion other planets in our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, just in our galaxy. I mean, each one of those planets, could potentially, not each one, but some of those planets could potentially support life. We know that. And the possibilities of that are just mind-blowing. And that's really what we wanted to try and capture with this book.
None of us would have ever dreamed of seeing a drone fly around on Mars. And now, as human beings, we all want to get a drone and do it ourselves.
Yeah. And who knows what the future holds. But we talk a lot even about the tools that scientists use to explore space and the things that were not around when we first started, how a rocket ship works, how a space shuttle works, and then imagining what life is like when you are in space. We've got astronauts living aboard the International Space Station all the time. Well, what's their life like up there? So we wrote it in the perspective of a diary from an astronaut living on the International Space Station. What is a day in a life up there? What does it take to become an astronaut? We made a fake job application, and you can see how far you got to go before you can make that a reality. We got big dreams to tell you how to get there.
You talk about becoming that astronaut. Right away, I'm reminded of my conversation with Lance Bass from InSync, where he went through that training, but at the last minute, he didn't get to go up.
Yeah. I mean, totally. I mean, what a cool story as well, right? I mean, this is the thing, right? Because there is something about space that is so inspiring to all of us. And we talk about, Errol, the science in this book. This book is, it's a perfect entry point for like a kid as young as 5. They won't get all of the science, but they'll get a lot of the jokes. But it's got science, real world science for a kid as old as 12, 13, because we talk about black holes and supernovas and dark matter. We talk about the elements that make up our universe, the chemicals and the gases, but we also talk about things like what it's like to pass gas in space. And I can tell you, we discovered in our research that it is not very pleasant for the people around you because it doesn't go anywhere. It just sits there. And so that's really the spirit of the book. It's designed to really make kids laugh and to bring joy and delight, because we know that when kids are delighted about what they're learning, they remember it and they retain it and they continue to learn more about it.
Don't kids also dream of one day being up there in space with their animals? Because, I mean, it's like, I would love to go into space with my dog.
Yeah. Well, there has been a dog in space. There's been lots of animals in space that have gone to space before us. There was an interesting study that was done with these flatworms, these planarian flatworms, where they were brought to space. And what they found was that they would spontaneously split into two.
Wow.
And that each half would then grow two more heads. So one on the top and one on the bottom.
Living up to the title of your book. Wow. I mean, there's so many things that go on
right?
up there in space. But now let's because we all bump into the naysayers. We're spending all this money going up into space. What about our own oceans? Is it one in the same? No beginning, no middle, no end?
You know, it's a really interesting parallel because there's lots about our own ocean that we don't even know, and lots of ocean exploration. But what's been really exciting about space is that we have started to figure out through companies like SpaceX and other companies out there how to make space travel cheaper.
Yeah.
And it will become much, much cheaper. And we know, for example, that just the moon alone might contain really important minerals that we need here on Earth. And so we may need to go to the moon to gather those minerals to power our own planet in the next 100 years. And that's really exciting to me.
Yeah, how about the space mission that went up there to that asteroid, tapped into its surface, and then brought it back to Earth?
Gosh.
Oh, is that a wow moment?
Unbelievable, right?
And to learn from it. I mean, they're talking about this is way before the Earth was probably even created. I mean, it's like, how do you learn from when there was nothing here?
It's incredible. And you know, just all in our book, we talk about a lot of the technologies that have come out from space travel and space exploration. I mean, things we know about like Velcro, but also, you know, certain kinds of drills and, you know, LASIK laser eye surgery. I mean, all of these things that we just kind of take for granted are deeply connected to all this research and exploration we've done around space.
Yeah. Now, where are you guys taking this book next? In other words, is it up on the website to work? Because we're going to read this book, we're going to study it, we're going to go back and read it again. But, you know, we like to be interactive with it going forward.
Yeah, I mean, to that, I would say once you've read the book and you've piqued your interest, I would say go to the back of the book where we have QR codes for all sorts of great space episodes of our podcast, Wow in the World, as we like to call it, to keep the wow rolling.
I would love to be a fly on the wall when you guys are putting these things together, because you always do stories and put out the books as well as the podcast that are of public interest.
Yeah.
Well, it is, I will tell you, one of the most fun moments of my week when Mindy and I get together and work on our podcast, when we work on projects together. It is so delightful because basically, if we can understand the science, if we can explain it to ourselves, then we know how to explain it to kids. And kids are naturally attracted to science. It just has to be presented to them in a way that makes them laugh, makes them, you know, think about something connected to it. And so really, it's all about a really joyful, creative process, whatever we're working on.
Wow, this is such the perfect book to give to a child for Christmas. It really is. Wow in Space. Please come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you.
Thank you so much, Errol.
Well, you guys be brilliant today, okay?
Thank you, Errol. Really appreciate it.